Hello, I'm glad you're here. This is Jennifer McGuire, and today starts STAMPtember. STAMPtember is a month-long celebration of stamping, die cutting, and card making, hosted by Simon Says Stamp. There's a lot going on. I will give you a rundown of what to expect, but today's video celebrates the new release that Simon has as of today, September 1st. Now, the products in today's video will be available after this month. There will be restocking, so if something goes out of stock, it will come back. I just wanted to give you a close-up look of all the products included because there's a lot and a huge variety. Now, so I feel like it's good to see all of the products just to get a better feel of what there is to offer. Because there are so many products and this video is longer, I will put in my YouTube description a little star or asterisk next to my favorite products. And I'll also put a little timestamp so you can fast forward to those points of the video to see the favorites if you're just looking for those. Now, September 2nd, tomorrow, I will be back with a video showing how to use a lot of the products you see today. I've got a bunch of cards for you in that video. And then STAMPtember gets going. Throughout the month, there will be many promotions, giveaways, and surprises. And I'm really excited because I hear there might be some new things happening this year. Then on September 4th, the collab stamp sets start. Each night at midnight Eastern Time, there will be a new collaboration stamp set between Simon Says Stamp and a favorite stamp company, such as Gina K, Pink Fresh, Lawn Fawn, and more. So every night starting at midnight. The thing about these collab stamp sets is that once they sell out, they're gone. So if you're really interested, you'll want to check at as close to midnight as you're able to do. Makes for some late nights. But if you don't plan on shopping, there still is a lot that STAMPtember has to offer. There is so much inspiration this month, so many different card making ideas that are worth checking out. And I will have extra videos this month too. So let's get started with STAMPtember here by taking a close look at this first release from Simon Says Stamp. And again, these products will be available for a good amount of time and will be restocked. I have all of these products linked below in the YouTube description with a little star or asterisk next to my favorites, and I'll be using a lot of these in tomorrow's video. So let's get started. Now, first up, we're going to take a look at the birthday themed products in this collection because there are actually quite a few and they work well together. First, we have this 6x8 stamp set called Cue the Confetti. I love this style of those large sentiments and that there is a coordinating die set available that will cut out those sentiments to make them easy to add to your card. There are also those large balloon images that line up with this All the Balloons stencil set. So you can use these stencils with the stamp set or separately. I like that the stencils are available because you could easily ink blend to color in that balloon outline image instead of trying to color that with markers. It'd be much faster to use shading with ink blending. And then what I'm most excited about is the All the Balloons pattern stencil set. Again, separate, but can be used together. And what's neat about these patterns is they give that dimensional look to the pattern on the balloon because of that curve or the perspective. And I think these stencils are really cool on their own. In fact, in tomorrow's video, I'll use these stencils without the balloons, and it gives really cool results. By the way, those large open stencils would be great for masking, and you could do some stamping of different patterns in the balloons, even put sentiments there. Next up, we have the Birthday Confetti die. This is a large die that cuts the words Happy Birthday, then also some confetti around it. Here you can see the sizing of that die cut. That white piece there is a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch note card, so you can get a size reference throughout the video. Now you can see that the die actually cuts the confetti too. Those little confetti pieces would be fun to use on accents on any cards, but you could also use the negative space here. You could do a colorful die cut inlay technique using scraps for a 1-layer card, or you can use the negative space and put a giant shaker window behind it. So looking through the letters and the little confetti holes, you would see some shaker bits on the inside. A lot of ways you can use this, and I like that it's nice and large. Next we have from CZ Design the Enjoy die set. This has the word enjoy and the shadow die included. I use CZ Design word dies a lot because the font is one that works with a variety of card styles. This Enjoy would work for birthday cards, but also for other occasions. You could even use it for the holidays. You could even cut off the EN to have the word joy. There's also the Enjoy Phrases stamp set that goes well with it. You can see that the stamps line up with these dies also, and then there are lots of sentiments included on there. By the way, there is a coordinating die for the stamp set alone if you would prefer. Another thing that I like about CZ Design products is that her sentiments often include some funny sentiments or creative ones. For example, here you could do, enjoy this card, it's literally your gift. There's a sentiment there that says, I hope you keep it forever, no pressure. That'd be great to stamp on an envelope flap or the back of your card too. Lots of little sentiments in here worth checking out, a lot of occasions covered, not just for birthday. Then we have some pre-printed sentiment strip panels. This is the birthday wishes on the right there, and then the reverse birthday wishes on the left. These are printed in toner, so you could foil these with the laminator if you'd like to. But these are great because you can cut with your trimmer little sentiment strips to add to your card, or you can use a little sentiment strip die to cut them out. It makes adding a sentiment very quick to do. There are a lot of these available, and I do like the new style included in these sets. Okay, next we have the Big Bold Birthday Stamp Set. This is a 4x6 stamp set with basic birthday images, and coordinating dies are available. This would work great with a layered number stencil set that I'll show you later in this video. Now, sometimes a die set comes along and I don't think a lot about it at first, but then when I really think about the ways to use it, I get really excited. And one example is this new party hat die set. Now, you can create a really colorful party hat using these dies and scraps that you have on hand. Those tiny little pieces of specialty cardstock or colorful cardstock to make a striped party hat. Now, you could do a fun technique with this where you make it kind of swing or shake for a little party vibe. I will link to a video up here in the top right that shows how to do that. And by the way, if I mention a video that might work with a product I show you, I will link that video below that product name in my description below. I also think it would be fun to use just this triangle striped die here to create Christmas trees. Or you can do like a repetitive background of triangles. As part of this STAMPtember release, there are many embossing folders. I'm just going to share the birthday themed ones here and the rest later. This is the party candle embossing folder and die that come together. So you can die cut little candles and then put those into the embossing folder and run that through to get texture on your die cuts. Or you can just use the entire embossing folder to create a background. Let me show you both. I have the sandwich there at the top of the screen for what I use for Simon Says Stamp 3D embossing folders. Here I'm just using white cardstock and running that through. This will give a great textured background with candles along the bottom and confetti at top. You could cut that apart and use it on 2 different cards or leave it together. You can see that beautiful 3D texture that you get. Now, we also have the die that comes with this embossing folder. What I like to do is die cut using that die and put those die cuts into the embossing folder, lining up the pattern. They're sized just right. Then you run this through your die cut machine in the same way, and it'll put that fun texture on the die cuts, which makes them look so realistic. Now, this one I would probably do with white and use markers to add some color to it, and it'll look super realistic. Now, here is the Party Balloon 3D embossing folder. There is a die that comes with this too. And look at this beautiful textured background. Great for any celebration or birthday card. I love that 3D dimension. Okay, let's move on to Halloween themed products. And this first one is one of those products that knocked my socks off in this release. And this is the Haunted Manor. It's an embossing folder, a 3D embossing folder, and a die that coordinates. Now you could use the folder on a background alone, or you could use the die alone, or you can use them together. You first die cut the house, put that in the embossing folder, run it through your die cut machine, and look at the amazing texture you get on this die cut. I think it is absolutely stunning. And the dies include these cute little ghosts and a little fence that you can decorate your card with. So with this embossing folder and die set, you really have the makings for a card already. All you would have to do is add a sentiment. It'd be fun to do the die cuts in white against like a black kind of spooky background. Here we have the Fancy Happy Halloween die set, which includes the words and the shadow die. And you can see this is nice and large and works best on a landscape or horizontal card. Or you could use it on a larger 5x7 or slimline card. This brings us to the Stack of Pumpkins die set. What I like about this die set is that it's different. It's not cutesy. I feel like there's a lot of cutesy pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns out here, and this style is really fun. You could stack them up to make a pyramid of pumpkins or just use them as accents on a card. We also have the spider die. This one you could have like hanging from the top of your card so it swings back and forth. I'll link to a video with an idea about that below. Or you can do a technique where you have a bunch of spiders on the background that each rotate and spin on their own. I'll link to that video below too. Here we also have the new web stencil. This is such a cool stencil. It'd be great to do like a soft gray bit of stenciling there behind the spider. Great for a quick and easy card. And by the way, this stencil would be great with some of the Tim Holtz mica sprays to create a fun, spooky background. If you're looking for a unique Halloween stamp set, I recommend the 6x8 Friendly Ghost stamp set. There are coordinating dies available. What's cool about these images is they build together to create adorable ghosts. There's a vampire ghost, a pumpkin ghost, and a witch ghost. Now here I did the witch ghost really quickly on some dark cardstock, and I really like this kind of graphic, unique look. Very different than other stamp sets, which is always fun to add to our collection. If you are looking for video sharing tips for lining up images like this one, I will link to a video showing that below in the description. All right, next up we have this adorable spooky kitty, but I would argue that spooky kitty could just be used as a kitty. So you could use this year round, but what makes this one spooky is there is a witch hat included. So you can do this with or without that adorable little witch hat. Now I'm a dog person and I don't do a lot with Halloween, but this kind of wins me over. Here's a closer look at the detail the dies provide. I think it would be fun to match the spooky cat up with the Too Cute to Spook die set. This adorable die cut includes the detail words and the shadow die, and look how nicely it fills an A2 card, and you can put that cute little cat right next to it, or maybe even the stack of pumpkins from earlier. Remember how I said CZ Design is great at doing those sentiment dies that always give a nice bold look and work with any style card? Well, here we have the Happy Happy Halloween. This would be really fun as just a backdrop to another image, maybe the spider from before, or again, that spooky cat. You could also do a shaker window behind those open letters, or use the letters themselves to put a sentiment Happy Halloween anywhere you want on a card. Another great Halloween die set is this Halloween stack that says Trick or Treat, Boo, and some Eek. Just something fun and different that you can die cut from a background and use the negative space or the individual letters. Here you can see how it fits nicely at the center of a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch note card, and you can add little die cuts or stamped images next to it, on it, or around it. You can also get more out of your die by just using the words trick or treat on a card. You could even use the Eek letters along with that spider die from before. If you're looking for a traditional Halloween stamp set, here we have the 4x6 Trick or Treat stamp set. There are coordinating dies available. And in here you also have that Too Cute to Spook sentiment, but at a smaller size and as a stamp. If you like to color, the Happy Hauntings 6x8 stamp set may be for you. There are some great Halloween type images here. There is a coordinating die set available. That one in the middle where he's holding a pumpkin is definitely my favorite. I asked Lila what her favorite product is from this release, and she chose this 6x8 Hocus Pocus stamp set that has the most adorable images in here. Not necessarily only for Halloween. There are some cute little animals at the top there too. These would be a lot of fun to color. Next up, we have the Arched Forest 3D embossing folder and coordinating die. These are sold together. You could use the embossing folder for a background, or again, use the die cut with the embossing folder to add a lot of detail to the die cut. Here you can see that pattern on the tree, great as a backdrop for any Halloween or even fall card. Then there is one stamp set, not Halloween, but it is for Thanksgiving. However, I would use a lot of these sentiments year-round. Here is the Artsy Pumpkin 4x6 stamp set. There is a coordinating die set available. And I am most excited about those sentiments. With thanks, thankful for you, grateful for you, those all have the coordinating dies, so they're quick and easy to add onto any thank you card. All right, let's move on to winter holiday or wintry type products, Christmas products all together in one. There are a few in this release, and my favorite is definitely the Holly Sprigs. I really like the detail of these dies, a quick way to create these little sprigs and then add the little berries. It all cuts at once. Now you could form these together to create like a garland going across a card, or even form them into a wreath. These die cuts would work great along with the Wild Berry Wreath 3D embossing folder. Wait until you see the close-up detail. Look at that. The detail on these leaves is amazing. So this would be great as the focal point with a sentiment at the center, or you can just use it as a backdrop. I really appreciate detailed, well-designed embossing folders like this one. If you're looking for holiday sentiments, here we have the Elegantly Modern Christmas stamp set. There is a die set that coordinates with this, and there is a hot foil plate set that coordinates with it also. So you can mix and match these as you see fit. They're all sold separately. Another holiday stamp set is the CZ Design Holiday Typewriter. You've got that classic font that works with any style of card, and the coordinating dies are available. Coordinating with this also, we have the CZ Design Holiday Typewriter Trio die set. This includes the words peace, merry, and joy. And you can either use these on their own or team them up with a stamped image. So you could use the merry die cut along with a stamped Christmas underneath, or mix and match them with other word dies you have. All right, now we have the Simon Says Stamp Snowflakes Circles stamp set. This is a 4x6 stamp set. Those circles there you can build a background with. You can also use a 1.5 inch circle die to cut those out. There is that die sold separately if you need that particular size. But I think this one would be fun to use with the Gina K Wreath Builder. I'll link to that video below too. For quick additions of sentiments to your cards, we have the typed Christmas and the reverse typed Christmas pre-printed sentiment strips. So the reverse is the black, so that you can cut this out and have the look of a black sentiment strip with a white sentiment instead of messing with white heat embossing. Again, you can foil these with a laminator too. Let's move on to my favorite category, and that is dies. These are other theme dies, and there's some good ones. First up on the left over there, we have those small fanfare leaf and background dies. So it cuts a solid leaf and the outline leaf that you can layer together or keep separate. I love the size of these and the detail. You could use these as a background, form a background, or just use them as accents. A great way to use up scraps. I will definitely be using these in a video soon. Now, along the same lines, we have the Fanfare Frame die that cuts a 4 4¼ by 5.5 inch piece, and you have that fun background. And the sizing is the same as the Fanfare leaf and background die over on the left. So you could layer them together, maybe line up the outline on this background piece, or take the solid image and slide it behind so different colors show through. You can really mix and match these two products together or use them separately. I also think this background die would be great for making an impression on a background. I did a technique video recently that would work great with this, and I'll link that below. Also, we have the Artwork Grid Plate die. Now this cuts an outside edge that's 4¼ by 5.5 inches and has these open squares. This would be really fun to use with any background kind of technique-y pieces you have. Just die cut squares from all of your different leftovers and pop them in place for a mosaic look. I'll be using this one in my video tomorrow. This would also be great teamed up with any small dies you have. Put a tiny little die cut centered in each window and you'd have a fun background. Another of my favorites from this release is the Rhythm Link Pinpoint plate. Now this cuts a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece along with this pinpoint piercing pattern. Look at the detail in that. Again, I did a video with a technique that would be great with this background. I'll link to that below. I'm always a big fan of background dies like this because it can be used on any card background. All right, next up we have the Fancy Thinking of You die set. This cuts the words thinking of you and it has the shadow die. And you can see this works well either on a portrait or landscape A2 card size. Here we have the Fancy Giving Thanks die set and hot foil plate set. So these are sold separately but can be used together. You can see that it has the word thankful and grateful and the shadow dies for it. The hot foil plate has the same size words, so you can use them with the shadow dies also. I really like the style of these and will be using them in videos also. Here we have the Spindle Flower. This is such a unique style. The die cuts all of the layers to create a flower like you see here. You could do the layers in different colors. I did them all in purple just for the example. But it's great for just a focal point on a background or using up some of your colorful scraps or even leftover kind of inky pieces. Just die cut them, layer them, and you're good to go. If you know me, you know I love butterflies, and this layered cosmic butterfly layering die set is fantastic. It's a nice larger size, great for a focal point, or you can put several on the card. Keep in mind, when you have a butterfly die cut, you can also fold the die cuts in half and have it look like a butterfly from the side. So you can kind of have it landing on a sentiment or just have a folded one and a solid one on your card to fill it up even more. For butterflies with a completely different style, we have the Billow Butterfly die set. Look how cute this little butterfly is. You can use these along with tiny little scraps to create a bunch of butterflies for your card. Or if you wanted to, you could team it up with an older die that Simon Says Stamp came out with a while ago. This is the Billow Butterfly background. So the sizing is the same, so you can add these little layered butterflies on top of the background. I also think these butterflies would be great as accents on floral cards. You'll be seeing me use this one quite often. Now it's time for the stencils in this collection, and there are a lot of good ones, and I use most of them in tomorrow's video. First we have the Floral Whimsy layering stencil set. I really like the style of this one because it's very unique and different than other layering floral stencils I have. I was able to create this one very quickly, and there are lines on the stencil so you can easily figure out how to layer them together. In my video tomorrow, I actually use some of these stencils individually to show you how you can get more out of layering stencils like this one. Here we have the Floral Borders stencil. Now each of these borders works nicely on a card, either horizontal or vertical, landscape or portrait. What I think it would be fun for is to use one of these borders on your envelope flap, just to add a little bit of interest. It's also fun for mixed media, and I'll be using this stencil in tomorrow's video. Here we have patterned circles. You can see there are lots of different circle patterns that you can use to create a background or a border. And there is a 5 circle die set available, so you can die cut these circles faster if you wanted to, or you can use a circle die that you may already have. Earlier in the birthday collection, I mentioned there is a layered numbers stencil set that would work great for birthday cards. You could either use these layering stencils to create a background, or you can mask off the different numbers. So maybe you do the person's birth date or like their age, so you could do a 12, or you could do a graduation card with 2024. Easy to mask each number to personalize your card. One of my favorite stencils from this collection is the lined arches. I like the unique style of this. You could definitely make it rainbow if you wanted to by just tracing in each of those arches with different color markers. But what I am excited to use it for, and I show in tomorrow's video, is to just have that little geometric lined arch image kind of coming in from the corners and top and side of your cards to give kind of a mixed media layered look. All right, now there are 2 background stamps in this collection. The first one is my favorite, and that is the Intersecting Lines over there on the left. I really like the unique style. It would be great for an embossed resist. And over on the right, we have the Wonky Trapezoid. Definitely wins best name. I mentioned earlier that there are a lot of 3D embossing folders in this collection, so let's go through the non-holiday ones. First, we have this very detailed, brilliant Cornflower 3D embossing folder that comes with the coordinating die. Here is what the embossing folder looks like on the background. Look at the detail on those flowers. And then here's a flower that I die cut and then used in the embossing folder. I can glue that onto the background to give even more dimension. Such great detail. I personally like this Bountiful Blooms 3D embossing folder and coordinating die set. Now this just gives beautiful 3D dimension. Here's a closer look at the background and at a die cut where I used it with the embossing folder. So again, you can use them separately or you can layer them together. And look at that 3D dimension. You get these really smooth edges that really catch the light nicely. I will link below to a video that would work fantastic with this particular embossing folder. Here we have the Playful Poppies embossing folder. There's no die to go with this one. It's just the 3D embossing folder, but it would coordinate very nicely with many different poppy dies and stamp sets that Simon Says Stamp has released in the past. I have a technique video in mind for this Hibiscus Cluster 3D embossing folder. I will link that below. Again, I will have below the product name, a link to the product, and a link to any video that I might mention. So it's really easy to find. Here we have the Floral Wreath embossing folder. This one's fun because it could be the focal point of the card with just a sentiment in the center, or you can build maybe a floral cluster of die cuts or stamps at the center, and it's more of a background element. Embossing folders like this, I feel, have a lot to offer because you can use them both ways. And another of my favorite embossing folders, this is the Leaf Tumble. A lot of detail to this, and this one can be used year-round for a variety of themes and occasions. For my fellow butterfly fans, we have the Gilding Butterflies. It is a 3D embossing folder and the coordinating dies. You can use them together or separate. Look at the detail that this particular butterfly offers, those little dots. Absolutely beautiful. Again, together or separately, these would make beautiful elements for cards. The die set includes 2 butterflies, so you can use the 2 different size butterflies with the folder, and it has the little bodies that you can add for more detail. Okay, now it's time for stamps, and this first one is definitely a favorite. This is CZ Design Seasons Greetings, but don't let the title fool you. There are lots of seasons included in here. You have everything from You Are My Sunshine to Happy Hanukkah to Let's Give Thanks to You Are My Heart. I really like the one that says, Let's enjoy summer, have a great school year, a beach please, summer is here. Really occasions for all year round. And it's fun to have them all in one stamp set with a font that is versatile for any style of card. To me, this is a must-have stamp set. There is also the CZ Design Sassy Friends stamp set. This is 6x8, and there are coordinating dies available. I told you Kathy comes up with clever sentiments, and this one has a bunch of fun ones. I would encourage you to go look at these. If you have friends that you like to send playful cards to, this is a great one to look at. By the way, my favorite sentiment in here is there's good friends, there's better friends, then there's you. Kathy, if you're watching this, that's how I feel about you, and I appreciate you always replying to my many texts throughout the day. Love you, girl. All right, now let's move on to our next stamp set. This is the Checkin' In 6x8 stamp set, and there are coordinating dies. 2 beautiful floral images. I'll be using this one tomorrow. And look at all of those dies to cut out those sentiments. I love when there are coordinating dies available for sentiments. Some people don't use them, but I like that there is the option if you do like to use them like me. There are some unique sentiments in here, such as sending hope and healing, holding you in my heart, so loved, so missed, and many more. For a completely different style stamp set, we have Drop the Mic. This is a 6x8 stamp set, and these larger Drop the Mic sentiments build together to create a colorful focal point for your card. This next 6x8 stamp set I am nominating for the most adorable stamp set of all time. This is Magical Crafting, and there are coordinating dies available. In the set, you have the sweetest detailed images of these little fairies, and some are painting, some are sewing, some are making cards, and there are lots of additional images that could be used either with the fairies or separately. And the sentiments in this one are fantastic. I really like the one that said, "I thought of you while making this." Perfect to put on the envelope flap of any card or on the back of your card. Well done stamp set. And we have the Happy Days 6x8 stamp set with their coordinating dies. This has also some detailed happy images. That one there in the center is Lila's favorite. It has a little bear doing a headstand with the little butterflies. Very sweet. You can make these images the focal point of your card, do some quick coloring, and stamp a sentiment underneath. I also wanted to mention in this release, there are 2 new sets of ink cubes from the popular Pawsitively saturated ink line from Simon Says Stamp. I use the full pads quite often in videos. I'll be using them a lot in tomorrow's video. And now these colors of cubes are available. There is also a white pigment ink re-inker available for the Simon Says Stamp white pigment ink pad, and I will be using this re-inker by itself tomorrow for a technique, so stay tuned for that. All right, I hope that this video was helpful to you, breaking down all of the many products in this STAMPtember release. Remember, these products will be available for some time and will be reordered if they go out of stock, and I have them all linked below for you. Tomorrow's video will show you lots of card ideas using some of these products, and then starts the rest of STAMPtember, where there are different collabs every day starting September 4th, all going up at midnight. I promise I will share videos using some of these products, and those, once they sell out, are gone for good. So stay tuned for more of STAMPtember. I will link to last year's STAMPtember celebration up here on the top if you want to check that out. And be sure to head to my blog because I have a big giveaway there for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.